saved our show so many times that if you weren't there, it doesn't matter how you begin, it's how you started. Thank you very much, Seth. So remember this coffee in your new job, because I know you're going to be saving a bunch of things at your new job. Thank you, Seth.
All right, Justin.
Seth, I appreciate you. You already know it's been hard for me. It's been a hard season. I've never seen anyone learn things quicker than you learn things. You helped this show. You helped us here at VBF. We appreciate you, bro.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. And then Mike.
Dude, I want a hug.
All right.
Brother, I appreciate you. I had a lot of fun doing this with you. I had a lot of fun just watching you grow up.
Yeah.
You've been a blessing and you've impacted our business specifically.
Cool. Heck yeah. That's awesome.
And then I just want to say that the burrito mustache intro was amazingly epic.
Yes.
And Seth,
I've been a part of all the intros.
You're
I had like the bun in
amazing,
the back or like sitting there.
and we'll definitely miss you.
Miss you guys too.
All right.
I'm not gonna miss him. What are you talking about? Why? No, of course. People keep saying, how are you gonna replace Seth? And I keep saying, you can't replace Seth. He's the one and only. I feel like he's my little brother. I know he has a lot of brothers, but really I feel like I've trained him up a little bit in the video realm, and so he will be missed forever. He's learned a lot. He's going to a good home. They're lucky to have him, and like I said, we'll get somebody like Seth. It'll probably be like a Mike Harvey, like that guy, but not a Seth. So.
Lunch break. So glad you have tuned in with us today. We are here with my friend Scott Winkler.
Always fun to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
You are, Scott. I just got to watch out for you. He interviews me. We're here with Judge McNamara today.
Thank you.
He takes over. I just don't know why. Is that the lawyer in him?
Let me tell you, with this guest here, which we'll introduce in a moment, you just back up, say his name, and let him go.
Yeah.
There's some people in life that are just fun to talk to and interview. We have the man today.
We have a spiritual soul, so I want to see a miracle. I want to see him do that today, Judge.
Absolutely.
Scary.
So we're so excited you're here with us today. And do I call you Judge McNamara? Brian? Okay, I can do that.
I will call him Judge.
Yeah. yeah. So we're glad that you joined us. But if you would, we're working on almost 15,000 followers. Are we at 15,000? Our producer, Mike Harvey? Over 15,000. So we're thanking you guys personally because of you. You like the show, you jump in, and but we still want to hit the magic 20,000 mark. So like us, share us, and we hope
get as many people in here as we can, right?
We can, yeah. We just got to go out there. So excited about what we're doing today, and want to thank MLH Productions and Mike Harvey and the crew for being here. We have Nathaniel Tweed as our director, and we have Andrew and Valerie that are there supporting us with, I think, sound and video. And
always doing a great job.
Look at Andrew. He's got the headset on. Can you get a shot of Andrew real quick? Can you put him in there? You look official, but you look like you're ready for all kinds of stuff. Yeah. You look real better. You look real official. Okay.
He looks like Chris Rock after the Oscars. But anyway, I don't know where that came from.
No.
Oh boy. We jumped right into that one, so I love that, Scott. So
can I introduce this young man?
Yes.
I will tell you, he's also known in the legal industry as one of the hardest working men in the business. This gentleman here, Judge Brian McNamara, or Dr. McNamara, which he doesn't like being called, he was a tenured professor at Cal State for over 30 years.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
At the same
time. Do you mean that survival, or do you mean that just well done?
My wife's a superintendent for a school district. And when she comes home, and I don't know if you get at the college level, she came home last week, and I shared it with the congregation on First Service Sunday. She looked at me, and she goes, "Why are men this way?" And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I had a fight on the playground." And I go, "With who?" She goes, "Third graders. Boys." And I just go, well, that's school right there. So,
he deals with it, but at an older age, right? What, 18 to 22-ish, pretty much?
I'm fortunate I have a bit of protection around me, unlike your wife. So.
Yes, in his present work now, he's got a few bailiffs in front of him.
So.
The whole time he was teaching, he was also a full-time attorney. He was also owned his own management information system business.
Computer technology.
Oh, this guy's a computer
That's
guru.
awesome. That's my academia, MIS.
So he can go on and on, but the best thing about him is every time he comes anywhere within a group, he just livens up the time. He makes you happier. He has great stories. He's from, I don't want to miss it. Is it Edinburgh?
Edinburgh,
Scotland.
You tried to throw that in there, didn't
Well,
you?
he actually told me you're going to have a hard time with it when you say it on the microphone. But hey, I gave it a shot. My best story is he comes from an extremely blue collar lifestyle, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to speak for you. Give us an idea. You have a PhD, you have a JD, you're currently a judge after serving all these years. What type of lifestyle did you have when you were in Scotland?
A very good family, strong, work ethic through the roof. But a funny story in what you say there is the simple fact that I left to go to college. No one knew I was in our family, actually. My dad, 3 weeks later, said, "Where is he?"
Really?
Where is he? I haven't seen him lately. There was no discussions, generally. It was, you knew what you had to do, and you did it, and Dad did his thing, Mum did her thing. They were great people. So you go away, you say, "Where is he?" College. First question, will that cost me any money? Scottish,
Did it?
short arms, deep pockets. You know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, off I go, and how do you get there? You hitchhike.
How do you hitch here from
No,
Scotland?
hitchhike to college in Edinburgh. It was actually in
Okay, when
Stirling.
you're getting your undergrad.
When I get the undergrad, so I go there. Now, you talk about the kind of environment. When I went home, he says, "We're going out to the pub tonight." He says, "But don't dare shake hands with anyone."
Okay.
Why?
Well, he's
I know.
Yes, you're good.
I don't.
Because he comes from a blue-collar, hard-working family, and I have a feeling his hands would have been soft.
Correct. And he says, "I've told everyone you're a foreman in a factory down south in England, so whatever you do, don't mention college, please, you'll embarrass me."
They were ashamed of him getting educated at the time. So
How it is.
when that came into play, how long was it after he was trying to hide your hands did you ultimately come across to the U.S.?
Basically, I was very, very fortunate. You talk about things in life that happen to you. You can't explain them, but you've just got to say something was in there involved. It was a case of I was playing soccer, and I'm in England at the time, playing in London, so it's 90 miles away, and I have to go
They
get
call
in a
it
vehicle.
football, right?
Football.
Yeah.
I'm educated now.
Yeah, okay.
You would like it there. America did well the other night.
Yes,
if
they
you don't
did.
mind me saying that, against Panama, very good. But that's a side issue. The bottom line is, which car do I go in? So it didn't matter. There was no big choice. Get in that car. I got in there and I sat in the back seat. And I listened to this guy all the time. He'd just come back from America. It seemed like a good idea at the time. So I signed up for the program on the Monday and came over the following year, which would have been 1980.
Okay.
So you came over here, and I was very, very fortunate. You talk about things in life. I happened to meet a guy who was a professor at the University of Massachusetts. So with that in mind, we talked. He needed a computer guy, and I had the background from a degree, one of the originals, by the way. And it's amazing to see the young people here. Can I just
Yes.
say that?
Lots of
Yes.
young kids.
And they're all with the computer technology way past me now, but there's nothing actually changed to the basis of these computers, what you do with programming,
Right.
regardless of what anyone wants
So
to
I'm going
tell
to
you.
say a word, and you're probably the only one that is going to know a 80-column Hollerith card.
No,
Over my
keep
head.
going.
You
If
know-
you're MIS, go for it.
Yeah. I'm just saying, we're probably the only two here that know what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, and I did all my doctorate work with punch cards.
Yes, punch cards.
Okay, so you get to the U.S. You enrolled at UMass, correct?
They gave me very, very fortunate. Again, let's keep saying this. When I was blessed there in the sense that I arrived here, I got a scholarship or whatever. They paid me to teach there, and they paid your education. So it was quite easy. Miles ahead of the computer industry at the time, so even the courses were straightforward in a lot of senses. And unknown to a lot of people, there's a thing on the East Coast called the Technological Highway. I think it's it's something 128, Route 128 around Boston, which was a very big competitor for San Jose at the time. So we were very involved in the first generation of really computers that might work. So
Yes.
we've got a lot in common there.
Yeah, I went to school in Los Angeles to Control Data Institute in 1976.
I'm working on that name. No, I thought it said something to me in the sense I did something for them, but I'm not going to claim it.
My academia is computer science. When I was in the corporate computer world, I was vice president at a local agribusiness firm, Sunworld, here in town. And I was, so I programmed. I was a systems analyst, and I love flowing stuff. I mean, my wife today will tell you if I come to a decision, I'll flow it out. You know, decision boxes and.
Is that what you ultimately taught?
That's what I'm saying. Everything he's saying rings a bell. I came here to teach MIS at Cal State.
Yeah. At Cal State. What year was that?
That was 86.
Okay, you become a professor in 86. You're first. How do you get? However you get from Edinburgh over here, how did you now get, what led you to Bakersfield? I'm always interested in that answer.
That's easy. If you've lived on the East Coast, I lived in Massachusetts. They've basically got 2 seasons. You know, you got slush in summer. There's not much else in between.
That's funny.
But I don't mean it rude against great people in their own way, but you want a guy from the Europe, Britain, Scotland, whatever you want to say. You arrive here, you want the California sun.
Okay.
You just want to see it. I'd visited California on several computer projects. When I say that, even at university, we had a firm going, which was way ahead of its time in the sense that we were new to the game, but we knew just playing with the new technology, which was excellent. And to see this today is amazing. But keeping pushing on with your question, we arrived there. So I happened to visit Bakersfield on a project at the Laurel Glen Tennis Club.
Okay, yes.
So I sat there, and it was funny because you go out in April and it's really nice.
Right. Beautiful Bakersfield.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
You couldn't beat it. So I thought, this is a nice place.
You were just another person that got victimized by April.
Victimized by April. But so I was very fortunate. I went back and I finished my studies. I happened to see an advertisement. I was very fortunate at the time with what the degrees I had in the industry. Everywhere you could get a job. But you're faced with problems with immigration in the sense I only was a student visa.
Right.
And if you're a student, if you study over here, you get an extra year or 2. You can work.
Okay.
And it's a very good program, and I took advantage of it, but was very fortunate. The university backed me, got the green card, and had that for about 28 years.
So we're hearing he was blessed. All of these things kind of lined out in front of you.
No issue.
Then these doors keep opening, right? You end up getting to Bakersfield. You are now a tenured professor, or you work towards being a tenured professor, correct? Right? So why at that point would you say, what's next? Well, what can I do next? Why still work? Did you go to law? How did you ultimately then start career number 2?
Well, that impresses me because I know what he's talking about. What the computer industry looked like in the 80s.
Yeah,
there wasn't. I mean, there was not enough people. The work was just too much. I was a contract programmer for a long time, and the computer industry just blew up.
Right.
I mean, you could really literally punch your own card in any job you want to, and so it's a very lucrative profession in the 80s.
Is that when you started the MIS business, first of all? Because you have like a sole proprietorship, right?
I did. I was fortunate with the people I was working with a business which sold software all throughout the United States, and I was lucky because I saw the United States. So I had the best. You can't gauge the again, luck, whatever. But my schedule at university was Monday.
Right.
9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9. And I got all my studies done, and I did my coursework then and spent the rest of the time traveling the United States.
So when you came to Bakersfield or arrived, you already had that business going, or you were
that was
attached to
going.
it?
No, that was going, and we still, I still had certain clients. It was great in California, and way up in the Bay Area as well, so I was okay. And then
you're teaching, correct? Teaching,
and basically couple of things come together. I was coaching women's soccer.
At Cal State?
No. I started a summer camp there for kids, so that was exciting. With Simon Tobin at the time, he was a great coach out there.
Remember him
very
well.
good coach. Very good coach.
An old Bakersfield name.
Yeah, still around, the name Tobin.
Tobin, I'm not sure where he is at the moment, but he went up. No,
I think he's coaching, or he was coaching elsewhere. I don't
He
know.
went, and he's very successful. He did well with Cal State, and we ran this thing. It was kind of competition because he's English. I'll just leave that to float out there and won't touch that.
Guys like Tom and I know exactly what that means.
Thank you.
I've watched the movie.
I'm Wallace.
You stole my line there because exactly, if you understand Braveheart, that's just how it is. We our history classes weren't that good because we charged down to England and get beaten up, have to come home virtually every time, apart from Braveheart, which we eventually lost. So it's kind of sad. Leave it, yeah.
So you're teaching at Cal State.
Yeah.
This next chapter comes in the law.
Yeah.
Give us a little brief synopsis on how that started.
That's easy. A friend of mine, he was a student, but she was in my team, a goalkeeper. And she said something about, I'm thinking of going to law school. Never thought of that. And I'd been 3 years, I was, whatever. Because I'd done the industry, to teach was quite straightforward because you ran it as a business. You didn't have, the notes weren't needed because you knew it.
Well, what I love about your business, because I used to talk to the professors at Cal State that were teaching computer science. I would always have interns come in the summertime.
Good.
And I always tell them, I go, if you could teach them anything relevant about what I'm doing, that would make my staff really happy because they're here just long enough to mess something up. And then they go
That would
back.
be his fault, probably. at that point.
I'll accept fault for that. That's no issue. But the whole game of the class was you came in, set them a project. 'Cause
Yeah.
They don't know what question to ask you unless they do it.
Yes,
and in
I agree.
computers, you have to play with things, particularly programming.
Yes.
You have to think intellectually, logically about everything.
You know, coming into this show, I never once thought, okay, Brian's into computers, Tom's into computers. I'm going to have to really just get around the show, or you guys are just going to go
hey,
sideways.
I tell everybody, Judge, that I'm a jock on the outside, but I'm a nerd on the inside. I love X's and O's. I could spend all day talking about it, and I love the fact that you remember when they would sell a computer system, there'd be no operating system.
True.
You had to program the operating. I mean, it was just a box, and they would hire us to program the operating system before Microsoft ever existed.
We've got to cut away, guys. We've got to get away from the nerdy stuff you're speaking of, because he's got this story of law.
Oh, keep going.
He's got this. So you're in the grit. Come on, talk to me now. You're doing criminal defense work, right?
Well, the law part was, again, being just listening to somebody, and she said, I'm meeting this person to explain how to get into law school and do it. I said, could I come along? So, yeah. So I went along with breakfast. It was interesting. And then I went down to try to get into law school downtown because I'm working all day, teaching at night, and...
Like you need something else to do.
Exactly.
No, it was fun. It was, as you could say, it's a challenge. It's a game. Computer program is a game.
It is.
And there's an ultimate winner, and it's you.
Well, okay,
But it
you
has
went
to
from,
be.
You went from the teaching game. You already had this computer game going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in the legal game, and something propelled you or pushed you into being in the judge game, I guess we can call it, right? Now you're in the judicial game.
Well, before that, when we would talk about school, they didn't accept me downtown, and
Okay.
rightly so. And it was George Martin. Let me say his name aloud, George Martin. I went to see him. No, he wouldn't know me from Adam, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to George. He sat me down and gave me some good advice. And Judge Stubbe happened to be in charge as well. And they both said basically you can't do it that way because you can't appear in class, which makes sense.
Okay.
Once somebody spelled it out, I couldn't do it during the day because I could, whatever. So they said, why don't you do it on the internet?
So you went through law school through...
Yeah, just on the... Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, to think about the type of classes, because unfortunately, and I won't get geeky here, but law school kind of conforms your brain to think in a really weird way that you usually don't think of in school. And to think that you had to learn that through, I don't want to get goofy with computers, but through the internet, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. So...
But watch what's happened with COVID. COVID's, and I recommend to anyone out there who just financially might be challenged, and it's very unfair to even say that when bright people, there should be some avenue to do it, but it's a far cheaper way to get
as far
through
as going through law school,
Get through
if
law
you
school.
can accomplish it that way.
And you can do it at home.
You know what you did is what Starbucks is offering. Remember, you go to work at Starbucks, make coffee all day, and they pay for your college at night to go to college.
Listen, and he keeps having this recurring theme in here too. What was your statement? I don't want to say it about being Scottish. Your arms are short, or what?
Sure, I've got short. Scottish were very thrifty people by
Very
definition. Probably still have my first dollar.
So he mentioned college, getting through law school in a very thrifty way. This guy is the most thrifty human being, and when I say thrifty, I mean that in a positive way. You know, he will always, if he doesn't choose to ride share, he'll always be the guy that rides with me, until just recently when he said he will no longer drive with me because he was scared or some ridiculous thing. But correct. You said stop signs and signs on the street are just suggestions to me.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So every time we drive by, what are these suggestions, Scott? And that's my best accent of Brian.
And you're both in the law profession.
Yes. Well, he was a judge at the time. So, Brian, we usually ask somebody right now, based on your schedule, everything you've thrown out there, what do you do first of all in your what do you do in pastime? Do you to decompress?
Oh, sport. You said you're an athlete too. Certainly soccer got me through way into the 50s, if you want to say that. Tremendous leagues in town, north of the river, etc.
Yes.
Everyone's going to be a superstar there. They're tough leagues, co-ed leagues. You can't beat it. So the physical health was always there, so it wasn't really an issue.
Are you doing soccer now? Any
Not
men's
now.
league?
Cycling now. You got to watch your knees. You get to a certain age where you go with the cycling, and a tremendous amount of people there have met, and just a good bunch. It's a great town.
We have a couple cyclists involved here in the show, actually.
Oh, I just think he walked out. Wrong time for Adrian to walk out, Valerie.
And you're doing what? You do that 3-4 times a week?
Try to, but as you get older, I'll say things have changed. You know,
You don't
you
look
just got
a
to deal
day
with.
over
Well,
50.
it's I've got to listen to attorneys all day. There we go. Oh, sorry, that just came out.
Exactly.
Keep me on my toes.
Can I ask a couple questions here?
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
See, in my profession now, because I'm in the ministry, I have some friends that have different denomination, have robes, and I always ask them, hope I'm not being disrespectful. I go, do you wear anything under those robes? And then, like, sometimes I just wear some shorts and things like that. Does that ever happen to the judges downtown, where you're like,
Well, I hope this doesn't go over badly, but I've got a kilt.
Really?
It's amazing that question on the kilt comes out.
Exactly.
And people spend, and the answer I give generally is shoes.
yeah?
You know what I mean?
Shoes in the kilt?
No, what do you wear under a kilt? Shoes. You know what I mean? It avoids that moment in time.
Awkward moment.
As an attorney now, as a judge, where do you generally lunch? I don't want you to mention location. Do you eat there at the courthouse lunch?
Yeah, but things have changed quite drastically in the last couple of years in the legal profession with all the new rules that keep coming in, which is legislation, so they are the rules. And that's taken a lot of time. We'll have to review a lot of things that we dealt with maybe 5, 10.
Is it the bag lunch that you used to always enjoy?
Oh, you're going there, aren't you?
Listen, you mentioned Thrifty, and he was the only attorney that used to partake in the bag lunches they gave to inmates. And I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world. He had 3 jobs, and he had no problem going and grabbing a couple inmate lunches and sitting down because he was usually working. The guy is always working every time I saw him. It was meant to be a compliment on how much a hard worker you are as much as Thrifty.
Well, to me, as I'm sitting here, Judge, thinking that your parents did give you great upstart, because that hard work ethic is something that's to be admired. So when I'm hearing you have these professions and still striving for more, I love that thought process. If you're out there, I always tell people, I always tell my daughters, don't ever quit going to school. Don't ever quit learning, and that doesn't mean, always education. It means learning from other people. That's why I love having people on the show, because it's something that, will always give back. And so as we're hearing you had good stock sewn into you. I love your dad saying, don't shake people's hands.
Yes. Is that crazy?
It just makes sense, because I didn't think that way, and it makes sense, what he's talking about. But then to come to America and then start teaching at a university, start a software company, what dealt with technology in the 80s, because technology in the 80s wasn't just, I mean, it's so much different because you did it all.
Right.
Nowadays you buy a computer from Best Buy. It's got an operating system. It's got software you can download.
I feel like I need to pull a yellow flag out every time we go back down the computer road.
I'm just impressed with this man. Okay, Scott, he's your guest, and I'm just blown away.
I'm just playing with you.
None to be impressed about, Joseph.
But it is, because you've accomplished all this, and now you're a Superior Court judge, and you have a law degree that you were told to do it on the internet.
Do it on the internet, and he got through it perfectly, I guess.
Yeah, but you go back to my parents, all the credit, but there's probably a lot of people listening, older people, who remember the day where, my dad's still, he's long gone now, but the bottom line, he always, if you had a paintbrush, for example, when you finish using it, you clean that in, you would always use it.
Absolutely.
It never
Before it goes,
changed.
absolutely.
And I'm not trying to dramatize and make it a victim. None in the slightest. It was a great you know, this is what you do, and it was very clear. You violate the rules, and that was the problem. But the issue was, this is what education was never stressed. My mum did that, but he never did that. But not in a bad sense. You work hard. That's what you do.
Just bottom line, simplify. Work hard.
Yeah, and apply yourself to whatever you do, and that's what I try to tell the audience. If you're out there, there's things that you can keep doing. I love the fact that you played soccer. Now you're on a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because you have to. Yes, your soccer caused some injuries, which now you're fighting with, but you're not giving up, and that's why I tell the audience you have to work on your physical as well as your spiritual, and it is something that I can look at your life journey and say that there's so many things that just happen correctly.
Oh, totally lucky. Just everything.
So back in Scotland, did you guys go to church, or what you guys do?
Sadly, when I say that, Scotland was kind of living in the past.
Yeah.
It was basically religious based.
Uh-huh.
You know, Protestant and Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you dated a lady the parents would say, is he one of us or one of them?
Really?
So it was and schools were separated a lot of the time.
It's separated religiously.
Well, it goes back to our soccer teams. Every soccer team has the Catholic team or Protestant team, and there's Rangers, which is Protestant, and they've signed one Catholic in 150 years. You see what I'm looking at, and the crowd picked on the person because he was Catholic. And my dad worked in the shipyards in Glasgow, which is where these teams are from, Rangers and Celtic. And depending on who won, they split the workforce by the team you supported. Because it was sad. I found it really quite sad, and I love the difference over here. See, if we're in the same town, we're only maybe 3 miles apart.
Right.
But you get, I went through the 80s in Massachusetts with the Boston Celtics and the LA Lakers. Well, you're 3,000 miles apart, so there's not much of the...
Right.
Which is it was an amazing time to be in the bars watching the finals, particularly, and it was amazing every year. But you never had this
well, let me, that's a good question, though.
Things.
What do you look at as one of, let's say, one of the biggest differences or identifying things that is different in the U.S. versus Western Europe, where you were at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are those big things that you can now sit back after going through the school system, the legal system, and say, wow, this is either done right, done differently, or do you have anything you could highlight?
Yeah, just looking from where I was, you were kind of in a role back then. We're kind of strategized society, technically, where you were going to get to based on upbringing, which is kind of sad. But Britain's changed so much.
Like caste types?
No, I wouldn't go that far, but you certainly knew where you were. You weren't much expected.
Okay.
And the bottom line is here, hey, get out there and do it. I love that sense. You reinvent ourselves here all the time. Even with COVID, we reinvented a lot of new things have come up through COVID. We're far better than the court system. I do not want to suggest that we went through COVID to get better.
Right.
But at the same time, we had to reevaluate our procedures and ways.
Opportunity.
And it was amazing.
Reinvention.
And it was great. And just to watch California in particular, it's a great state in many ways because it keeps reinventing itself. And that's what's going to happen, hopefully.
Now, how much impact did your hard work ethics and your upbringing have with you coming into the judicial system and having to make decisions? I mean, do you find yourself giving advice to people that come before you and, just give them hey, by the way, work a little harder or go out and take advantage of opportunities or something like that? Do you ever are you able to do that?
Yeah, in certain ways, I believe jobs are so important. Yeah. They change people.
Yeah, they do.
It doesn't matter who you are. I think it was, help me here, with the guy, the mayor of New York. He seemed to understand that. When he said no more welfare, not saying welfare's got its place, don't get me wrong, it's just where it is. But he basically said you've got to work.
Yeah.
And you'll get it. And all these people fought it. But the amount of roles he reduced, because people who'd fought it suddenly were good at what they were doing, and they suddenly got that charge. So jobs are the way to go. And
But with respect to providing advice or helping someone maybe find a different avenue?
Well, yeah, quite simple. And I'll say I was wrong. So let's get that right up front. A young man came in, and you've been with them, Scott, in many ways, where the beast has got him. What I mean by that, drugs have got him.
Yes.
And it's a saying I use, but once that beast gets you, it's a tough call.
Yeah, it is.
It's to get out of it, admire everybody. And this guy was going, and they promise you everything, fair?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So the time he's sentenced in, he says, I sentence him fairly.
I'll do anything as long as I don't do jail.
Yeah. And that's roughly it. And I've got this lady out here, and she's pregnant, and things like this, and so on, and so on. And it went like that. Simply looked at him and said, I'll tell you what, you're going to jail here for quite a bit of time. I've sentenced you, no problem with the sentence, but here's what you do. Go get your GED. Go get your GED, and don't call me and say you're working on it. I'm not interested. I'm interested in the certificate.
Right.
Go get your GED, and I will pull you in and revisit your sentencing. And I never thought I'd see him again.
Uh-huh.
He just, because it was a standard, probably stereotype,
Right.
the way he was going to approach me. Well, if I get this letter from his attorney and said, can we do the resentencing? Well, he supplied the certificate. He got himself a job from inside.
Really?
And he was now organizing the other inmates. So it wasn't a case,
Organizing
I wish I could claim that I thought this all the way through. Not in the slightest.
Right.
He proved me wrong, and I said, it's great to be wrong sometimes, and in your case, I'm wrong, so there's no issue. What I promised will deliver. So.
But that foundational fact, growing up, knowing work's important,
Yes.
all of that stuff sustaining with you to know that, you know what, this is the same type of attribute that's going to help this gentleman here.
Yeah. Well, the Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. Which is
pretty accurate.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I would say right on.
And I've always given that advice to people who come. You know, they'll look at me and they'll ask for counseling. If you're out there, it's just something I'd tell you. They'll say, what are you doing? And of course, I ask a few questions, and sometimes, the enlisted service is great for them. Gives them discipline, gives them a direction, and sometimes I'll tell people just go out and get a job. Get an education, get a job, and it just, because those things, will, that road will bring you to the same place, because some kids need discipline. I always tell parents, you've listened to me, and you've listened to me long enough, I tell either you'll discipline your children or the prison system will.
Yeah.
One or the other. I go, it's a hard life to do, but I go, sometimes it happens in the younger years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen a young man who's come back into my life, and I told him that when I was kicking him out of the high school that we had a private high school, and I was the principal. I was having to kick him out, and I said, this problem didn't start here. It started at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I looked at his parents, and it's funny, he was in the church on Sunday, and he said, he goes, you told me this, Pastor Tom. And I go, I did. So he spent some years in, and it's just interesting how it's worked out. But he's getting his life together. I mean, it just, like you said, the beast had him.
But, and if I had to tie the two together, my hunch was that person in front of you when he was getting kicked out saying, I promise I'm going to do good. I'm not going to miss. Because that's just from my being present, that's what it's not different, whether it's education system or the judicial. That's what he's dealing with as well, just like you.
Yeah.
I promise you, one more chance, principal, one more chance, right? One more chance, Judge. Don't send me away this time. And the way life works out is if you're, I don't want to say just not working. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, things will work out. And if you're not, there's going to be alternative routes that's going to take you back to that direction, correct?
Well, as I believe in what Christ said, that, we all can repent. And it's neat to see people repent and start doing the right thing, like the young man that was in front of you.
Yes.
Like you said, sometimes, and I don't know if that's just human nature, but you're like, he wasn't coming back.
He wasn't coming back, and I was wrong. And it's nice to feel wrong on these situations.
Right.
It's definitely lying. But there's many people in court, you see, particularly misdemeanors, where the kid is just, and you got to read them.
Yes.
They're begging for help. They'll just look at you. You sentence the kid. He said, I'll tell you what, you always bring them in and try and sit there. The bailiff is going to deal with you in a minute, but I'm rethinking your case, and I'll tell you what, how about I'll reconsider this, come back with a job in, 3 months, and we'll forget it.
Okay.
You know what I love it, Judge? It's almost like a doctor. Because I remember during the Zoom portion, my doctor was looking, I had a heart issue. And all I could see was my face. He goes, Tom, I want you to come down to the office. And I want to look at you. Because when I came in, he's like, okay, I just wanted to see you because they judge you based on how you walk in
Absolutely.
and everything. And I love the fact that you were able to have an eyeball with people. It's good to hear that.
But and again, if you go see a doctor, you're in a vulnerable place at the time. You don't know what's going to happen. As a principal, I can only imagine in misdemeanors when you're not all the time, when you're dealing many times with those that are aged between 18 and 25. Whether they want it or not, they're looking for the break. They're looking for the break, and to be in a position and to be blessed in this county to have a judge like Brian that can sit back and give them that opportunity.
We are blessed for that, I guarantee you.
It is. It is a true blessing to have good judges. We've met a few judges on this show now, and it's really nice to know they have a good spirit about them when they want to move forward and try to provide different routes.
I love that.
Well, let me say that on the judges downtown, unbelievable. Motley crew. I'll call them the Motley crew.
The Kern County judges?
Yeah, they're just, through COVID, on the Kern County, the jurors, let me say this totally aloud, they've looked at me all the time, and the judges themselves all throughout never stopped, technically. We had that month, we didn't know what we're doing, only for about a month, and we all went back. And the jurors themselves basically looked at me and said, let's deal with the problem, not surrender to it. Right. And that was the Kern County attitude. Now, I don't say that flippantly or just because I'm talking here. That is they say in court. And now when the governor came down with his close everything down, we were in about the 6th week of a trial. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we've got to close this down. They said no. They said no. We've been invested so much emotionally. We believe it's fair on the defendant. Everyone here, we're willing to do it.
And you just did it.
A week and a half later, we're still there, and they worked it through, and they reached a decision. But the bottom line, that's been the attitude throughout. I congratulate them still today. It's not, some counties haven't started yet, so I never know how they'll get. I wish them all the best getting the backlog done.
No, Kern Counties, we're back and running.
They're running.
Yeah,
It's all credit the judges.
Well, congratulations
And
to
the
you.
county. Let me put the county up there, because you see them walking in, and they will work with you. They're just a different, they're just, let's do. I love their attitude. Solid awesome. Place. And I came here on the 2-year plan, let's be honest. I saw the sun. Yeah. I was told it's always sunshine. And remember back then with the fog in the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
And they said,
where did that go?
It is bizarre because the kids see it today and think, well, it's foggy. And like, no, it's not.
Remember Thule fog?
The Thule fog would just bury the Central Valley.
It's like, I thought it was a monster forever until I drove in it for the first time.
Oh.
And I was like, this is real.
When you're from the Central Valley, you know when you're driving through fog, you have to get right behind a diesel truck and just creep all the way through at 30 miles an hour. That was 80s fog right there.
But it was a great, I happened to be home and I was reading a newspaper and it said head-on collision, 30 miles an hour, no injuries to the cars, nothing. I'm going, what the heck is this? So I was reading it further and it was just, you've all done this, so you know what I'm saying. You're driving along and the fog is so bad and you're just driving, so you roll your window
look
down.
at the line.
And you look back here, well, one car's going this way and the other car's going the other way, head-on collision. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Not pretty.
Oh, it used to. Yeah, we had
pretty.
some bad ones here.
We did. Judge, is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with? Something maybe it's on your heart, on your mind that you'd like to say?
Well, it started with a 2-year plan. I was here for the 2 years, a young bachelor, whatever. Arrived in California, treated wonderfully. I came here, found a family. It's as simple as that. In 40 years now, you can't get rid of me. So sorry about that.
We'll keep them around. We'll keep them around.
I love that.
It's been so. No, you find a family in an amazing place. He's very fortunate. My wife met her. She was part of the soccer team. It's amazing how it grew from there.
The soccer team you coached?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yes. Been married for, I don't know the exact years, over 30 years.
30 years. So that was.
Congratulations to you.
Yes.
No, best thing I ever did. I'll say that aloud.
Well, we are lucky to have you.
Yes,
Judge
we are.
McNamara.
Judge.
Pleasure, you guys.
Oh, I want to turn it over to Nathaniel Tweed. I think he's got something he wants to share with the audience.
Yeah, we have a dog from Lucky's Animal Rescue here that we wanted to talk about here. It's coming up. There it is.
There we go.
And this is Lana. Lana is about 2 to 3 years old and simply the sweetest, calmest dog you will ever see. She is a wee bit shy at first, but warms up quickly, and when she does, all she wants to do is be in your lap and snuggle. She is not tested with dogs, cats, or kids, but
we need to do that.
Should be coming.
We could take her to my backyard and see if she's good with dogs, and I'll bring her in the house, see if it's good with cats.
I tell you what, Nathaniel needs to be a color commentator at the Masters. Is that just a smooth, silky voice?
It was smooth, and then I don't know.
That was amazing, right?
He dropped in the word "we." Was that because of Judge McNamara's brogue, or is that?
He did quite well.
He did
quite well.
That was very smooth.
I did too. I like that.
We have a beautiful dog here. Wow, that was very cool.
Nathaniel Tweed is our director. I want to thank MLH Productions. I want to thank our creative consultants, Taylor and Tessa Touchstone. And we're so, again, happy that you came on, Judge. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
And so, hey, you guys, hope you do great
Thank you
out
again.
there. Have a good night or day or whatever time you're watching this. And
take care.